The first notification popped up at 3:14 a.m. It wasn't unusual for me to get messages at odd hours. Freelance writing doesn't exactly have a 9-to-5 schedule. But this one sent a jolt through me. It was from an unknown number. "They're coming for you." My heart hammered against my ribs. Spam, I thought, trying to calm myself. But a cold dread pooled in my stomach. I wasn't one to spook easily, but the timing was unsettling. I was house-sitting for my aunt in a small, isolated cabin in the woods. No neighbors, just miles of whispering pines and the occasional screech of an owl. 10 minutes later, another message arrived. Same number. "You can't hide." Panic clawed at my throat. I wasn't hiding from anything, unless... Was this some kind of prank? My aunt did have a mischievous streak, but this felt different. A wave of nausea washed over me. I forced myself to take a deep breath. I grabbed my phone and dialed my aunt's number. It went straight to voicemail. The silence in the cabin pressed in on me. Every creak of the old house, every rustle of leaves outside the window, sounded amplified in the dead of night. I debated calling the police, but what would I tell them? Some creepy texts from an unknown number? They'd probably laugh me out of the station. Just as I convinced myself it was a prank, another message arrived. "The forest remembers." This time, I didn't hesitate. I scrambled to find my aunt's pepper spray, the only thing resembling a weapon in the cabin. As I gripped the canister, a primal fear gnawed at me. What was out there? Who was after me? The power flickered, plunging the cabin into darkness. My breath hitched. This wasn't a prank. This was real. Adrenaline surged through me, sharpening my senses. I heard a faint scratching sound coming from the back door. Heart pounding, I crept towards the kitchen. The pepper spray clutched tightly in my hand. The scratching grew louder, more insistent. I reached the back door and slowly turned the knob. A gust of wind slammed the door open, revealing nothing but the inky blackness of the night. Relief washed over me, so intense it almost made me laugh. Maybe it was just a raccoon or some other woodland creature. I cautiously stepped outside, the cool night air wrapping around me. As I scanned the darkness, a twig snapped behind me. I whirled around, finger on the trigger of the pepper spray. A figure emerged from the shadows. Tall and slender, its face obscured by the darkness. It took a single step forward, and in that moment, the moonlight fell upon its face. My blood ran cold. It wasn't a monster or a deranged killer. It was a young girl, maybe 10 years old, her eyes wide with fear. Tears streamed down her dirt-streaked cheeks. "Help me," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "They're after me too." The weight of the pepper spray felt heavy in my hand. Who was she? Who was after her? And what did it have to do with the creepy messages? Before I could ask any questions, another figure emerged from the trees. A tall man, his face hidden in the shadows. He grabbed the girl's arm roughly. "There you are," he growled. "I told you not to run away." The girl whimpered and turned to me, her eyes pleading. In that split second, I knew what I had to do. "Leave her alone," I yelled, brandishing the pepper spray. The man scoffed. "This doesn't concern you, lady. The forest remembers," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "And it protects its own." The man's eyes narrowed. He hesitated for a moment, then shoved the girl towards me. "Take care of her," he muttered, before disappearing back into the trees. The girl collapsed into my arms, sobbing hysterically. I held her close, whispering reassurances I didn't entirely believe. The forest was silent once more, the only sound the girl's muffled cries. As dawn approached, I learned the girl's name was Lily. She was running away from an abusive father. The creepy messages? Sent by a concerned neighbor who knew about her situation. Relief washed over me, tinged with a touch of embarrassment. Later that day, the police arrived, alerted by the neighbor who'd sent the messages. Lily was safe, and I, the accidental hero, was hailed for my bravery. Looking back, I know it sounds ridiculous. A few creepy texts, a scared girl on the run. But sometimes the scariest things aren't monsters. They're people.